Good evening, live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman television. Here we present to you 7 o'clock news bulletin. First, the headlines. The application of the new penal law commences from tomorrow. The Sultanate will host OPEC meetings of the year as it stresses on its obligation to decrease its daily oil production. The Minister of Higher Education reveals over 1,200 malpractices in scientific and academic qualifications. And the Capital Market Authority approves the system of insurance fund for aiding the injured during accidents. Thank you for joining us. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. Applying the new penal law issued by the Royal Decree number 7/2018 will start tomorrow after it was published in the official Gazette today. The new law is considered as one of the important laws in the Sultanate, including 389 articles explaining various social rules. The Minister of Oil and Gas stressed on the Sultanate's obligation to decrease its daily production of oil by 45,000 barrels. This came in a press conference on the Sultanate hosting the 7th meeting of the Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee of OPEC and non-member producers due to be held on the 21st of January 2018. The meeting will review the oil production as well as the obligation of each country to OPEC agreement to reduce around 4.5 to 5% of their oil production. The prospective oil prices and the meetings in the upcoming period are expected to pave the way for continuation of OPEC agreement. Achieving and applying free competitions rules was stressed by the System of Competition Protection and Preventing Monopoly Center. The system stated to ensure applying the free competitions rules and instilling competition protection rules and preventing monopoly, which will benefit the national economy and the consumers. The system issued in the official Gazette explained that the center seeks to protect the market from following wrong practices as well as receiving complaints. More than 1,200 malpractices cases in scientific qualifications, most of them in stamps and documents monitored by the Ministry of Higher Education since 2012 until previous year. The ministry, after inquiry about owners of those qualifications, stressed that the number of them filled positions unlawfully. FEC institutions followed many ways to attract scientific qualification seekers in social media sites through providing offers with low prices, where the Minister of Higher Education stressed that all accredited scientific institutions are announced in the e-site of the ministry and updated with persistence. Oman penal law criminalized malpractice processes in official papers, and perpetrators shall be punished with penalties amounting to fines and imprisonment. The Capital Market Authority approved a system of insurance funding for the injured as well as to compensate the cost of damages involved in vehicles accidents. Here is a report.
Providing insurance coverage for those involved in accidents is a service that came after the Capital Market Authority approved the system of insurance funding for the injured in accidents, as well as compensating the cost of damages caused by vehicle accidents. The fund will be specialized in helping heirs of the deceased, those suffering from physical injuries, and covering the treatment and first aid expenses, in addition to compensating the damages caused by unidentified vehicles and if the vehicle that caused the accident is not covered under insurance. It's worth mentioning that vehicle insurance in the Sultanate occupies the first place, as the statistics pointed out that direct premiums of vehicle insurance reached around 33% compared to health insurance premiums that reached 31%.
The Sultanate had made an amendment on the project of the first phase of railway project, which will link Governorate of Buremi to the Wilayah of Sohar. The amendment will contribute in reducing the total cost of compensation for the citizens and properties affected by the project by 27 million Omani Riyals. The use of public interest will be lifted from 194 land plots from the main railway track, which has a length of 135 kilometers, according to a memorandum of Royal Decree No. 5 over 2018. Improving performance and efficiency of journalists and media men in the Sultanate are the main specializations of the Media Training Center, which was issued by Royal Decree No. 3 over 2018, which stated on establishing the center and determining its tasks. The center, chaired by the Minister of Information, will work on organizing courses and training programs in both practical and theoretical. It also will train higher education students and qualifying them before joining workplace. The center is financially and administratively independent, and its headquarters will be in the Governorate of Muscat, and it will have more branches in various governorates of the Sultanate. More than 2.6 billion Omani Riyals is the value of real estate trading in the Sultanate in 2017, decreasing by 61% compared to 2016. The total value of the collected fees of real estate in 2017 witnessed an increase by 22% and reached more than 80 million Omani Riyals. His Excellency Abdullah bin Salim Al Mukhaini, Secretary of Real Estate Registry at the Ministry of Housing, stated that real estate transactions in various governorates of the Sultanate reached last year more than 351,000. He as well added that more than 228,000 ownership deeds were issued last year, including 58,433 new registered land plots. The Sultanate is expected to witness a qualitative shift in the real estate projects in the coming period, especially after the issuance of the new regulation of real estate investment funds. You're watching the Sultanate of Oman television, and still to come in our news bulletin. Mithaq Islamic Banking inaugurates the first branch working with solar energy. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Iran's president said today that the U.S. has failed to destroy a nuclear deal between Iran and world powers. Despite President Donald Trump's suggestions, Washington could pull out of the agreement. Trump on Friday extended the waivers of key economic sanctions that were lifted under the agreement limiting Iran's nuclear program. However, he said he would work with European allies to remove so-called sunset clauses that allow Iran to gradually resume advanced nuclear activities in the next decades. The 2015 nuclear accord, reached after months of painstaking negotiations with the US, UK, France, Germany, China and Russia, lifted international sanctions in exchange for Iran limiting its nuclear program. Trump has repeatedly criticized the accord, while Iran has accused the US of failing to comply with it. The next sanctions waivers are due in May. Explosion destroys car in the southern city of Sidon. A bomb went off in a car in southern Lebanon today, wounding its Palestinian owner. It was not immediately clear who carried out bombing in the city of Sidon or why the Palestinian identified as Mohammed Hamdan was targeted. Several Palestinian armed factions are based in Lebanon and are based in refugee camps around the country. Rivalry between them over control often spills into clashes. A Lebanese security official said the bomb was placed under the car seat. The explosion went off as Hamdan was getting into the car. Hamdan was undergoing surgery in a local hospital. In 2006, 2 members for Palestinian group were killed in the same neighborhood in Sidon, where a bomb planted in a vehicle detonated as they passed near it. Israel was blamed for the attack. Germany's defense minister handed over 2 training aircraft and military support vehicles to the Jordanian military during a visit to the kingdom today. Ursula von der Leyen unveiled 70 Mercedes trucks, 56 Mercedes minibuses, and 2 training aircraft worth a total of $22 million. She also stressed the importance of Germany and Europe's strong relations with Jordan, describing it as an anchor for stability and security in the Middle East. While visiting German troops to an air base in northern Jordan yesterday, von der Leyen underlined Germany's ongoing participation in the battle against Daesh group, even after the extremists suffered territorial losses. Jordan, which borders former Daesh strongholds in neighboring Syria and Iraq, has been a key ally in the US-led campaign. Pope Francis said that fears felt by refugees and migrants, as well as fears felt by those in local communities, are legitimate and should only be considered sinful if those fears determine people's actions. Francis invited migrants, refugees, asylum seekers, newly arrived migrants, and second-generation migrant families to a special mass he celebrated today in St. Peter's Basilica. He noted that some local communities fear new arrival will disturb the established order. In his almost 5-year papacy, Francis has stressed Christianity's mission in following Jesus to welcome vulnerable and marginalized people. His focus comes as wealthier countries, including several European Union nations and the United States, are intent on increasing physical or legal barriers to migrants. U.S. President Donald Trump posted a tweet describing the author of a best-selling book about his administration as mentally deranged. Trump alleged that Michael Wolff, the writer of Fire and Fury inside the Trump White House, knowingly writes false information. The 71-year-old also took aim at the mainstream media for reporting claims made in Wolff's book by saying so much fake news is being reported. White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders denounced the book as a complete fantasy for portraying her boss as undisciplined and in over his head as president. Back to some more local news. The State Council office discussed the proposal of the internal legislations of the Council forwarded by the Legal Committee and decided to refer it to the upcoming General Session after including the remarks rendered by members of the office. The office also discussed during the meeting the proposal provided by the Culture, Media and Tourism Committee on the role of Omani drama in the society as an example to be studied during the current period. The meeting was presided over by His Excellency Dr. Yahya bin Mahfoud al-Mandri, Chairman of the State Council. Studying the topic of the scientific research financing policies in the Sultanate and its impacts on the research activity in a bid to communicate with the authorities which support fields of research were the most prominent goals of the visit conducted by a delegation from the Education and Research Committee from the Shura Council today to Sultan Qaboos University. This visit emphasizes the importance of the real partnership between the university and the Shura Council. The Education and the Research Committee stressed on communications with competent bodies at sectors of education to study those policies in order to come up with joint recommendations among sectors aiming to activate scientific research and the individual concerned in the Council of Ministers and the Shura Council to support education process in the Sultanate. The Muscat municipality issued a decision specifying fees, values, insurances, and financial guarantees collected by the municipality. This decision comes in line with the financial system law of the Diwan of the Royal Court issued by the Royal Decree number 128 of 1991. The decision is based on the consent given by the Ministry of Finance and includes 12 annexes divided into different activities related to fields of municipal work. The decision will come into effect from 1st of February 2018. The number of 10 commercial activities which most recorded during the third quarter of 2017 reached about 34,000 activities compared to 7,000 activities during the same period in 2016. The Minister of Commerce and Industry clarified that the activity of contracting and construction was most recorded activity, with more than 5,000 activities increased by 318% compared in the same period of 2016, followed by activity of exports and import offices with recording more than 4,500 activities compared with the same period of previous year, which recorded around 600 activities. The Minister of Commerce and Industry is keen to support commerce and industry sectors through developing and preparing policy studies and regulations and implement them actively in order to enhance commercial activity in the Sultanate. The Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries Wealth issued a decision to amend the ministerial decision number 31/2009 by announcing agricultural quarantine areas in a number of wilayas in the governorates of Musandam, Al-Buremi, North and South Al-Batina, North and South Al-Sharqiyya, Al-Zahira and Al-Dakhiliya until the elimination on the reasons of quarantine and issuances of other decision in this regard. His Royal Highness Amir Abdul Aziz bin Saud bin Naif Al Saud, Minister of the Interior of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, arrived to the country this evening, accompanied by his delegation on an official visit to the Sultanate, lasting for 2 days, during which he will meet a number of senior officials. In order to encourage clean and renewable energy, Mithaq Islamic Banking, affiliated to Bank Muscat, inaugurated the first branch for banking sector work by solar energy in Al Khawd. The inauguration of the branch came within the framework of the national initiative Fingers Prints, which inaugurated by Bank Muscat in the previous period to support environmentally friendly approaches by rationalizing electricity, energy consumption and preserve environment. It's expected that in the coming years, implementation of wide initiatives and projects to generate clean energy, which will be contributed with more than 15% from the consumption energy volume in the Sultanate. The inauguration ceremony was presided over by His Excellency Mohammed bin Salem Al-Tobi, Minister of Environment and Climate Affairs. The Election Committee of Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry for the term from 2018 to 2022 announced the initial names of candidates for membership of the Board of Directors of the Chamber and its other branches in its website. The concerned parties were allowed to raise objections on any candidates' names within 7 days, starting from 15th of January on the model prepared for this issue to the Appeals Committee of the Chamber or its branches in various governorates in the Sultanate. And now for the general weather forecast around the Sultanate. Clear skies will prevail over the Sultanate with chances of low clouds and fog late at night and early morning over the governorate of South Al-Sharqiyya, Al-Buremi, Al-Zahira and Musandam. Winds will be northerly to northwesterly light to moderate. Seas will be slight with a maximum wave height of 1 meter. This is the Sultanate of Oman television, and before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The application of the new penal law starts from tomorrow. The Sultanate will host OPEC meetings of the year as it stresses on its obligation to decrease its daily oil production. The Ministry of Higher Education reveals over 1,200 malpractices in scientific and academic qualifications. And the Capital Market Authority approves the system of insurance fund for aiding the injured during accidents. And with that, we do conclude this news bulletin brought to you live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman television. Thank you for joining us.